We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and also rate that show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. What is going on, Bears fans? Hope you've all been well. Man, it was a bad game today and just awful. And actually, I see that people are saying out there on YouTube, I think I actually might have never updated the actual thumbnail. So I'm actually going to go update that right now live on YouTube as we go through it. But let me know down in the comments, how do you feel about this game? Because right now, it feels about as, because I totally did not update the logo. So thank you for letting me know that I still have. I reused the exact same thing. It still says heartbreaking. But I think that is a perfect way to kind of go into this. It wasn't good. It was still heartbreaking. It wasn't even just heartbreaking. And I updated it, so now it says unbearable. This is the first time I've ever used the name of the show as unbearable, as just an awful, awful game. And I'm sitting there watching this game, and eventually, in the fourth quarter, the best part of the game was when I switched it over from my main TV over to my secondary TV, and then I watched Red Zone. And I still had the game. I was still trying to watch it, but like Red Zone was so much better. And it was just so bad. So bad. Exactly. What's good, Joe? What's good, Drax, J2K? We also got JC, Taco Man. What is good? Yeah, I just see all that stuff. Exactly. This is why the show is unbearable. It just describes what we saw out there on the 52-21 absolute drubbing from the Lions. Now, I know that I personally picked the Lions to win, and one of the reasons why I picked the Lions to win, I think, was also probably the biggest key to the game. And the biggest key is that, like I said, was they're going to be coming out firing. They're going to be coming out with motivation. It's going to be a question of, did Ben Johnson motivate the Bears enough to understand how much this game means to him? And the answer to that was pretty plain and clear, right? The Bears led up 52 points. And if we look at the offense, 334 passing yards for Jared Goff, 5 touchdowns, sacked 0 times. And if you also want to know more about this too, Bears only got 5 pressures on those dropbacks as well. That's not good. if you're curious, that's not good. And then also, and because right now we'll just kind of go through actually injuries. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But really just the main thing is just the overall, just what we thought of this game. And the other thing too, on the ground, they averaged 5.9 yards rushing. Jahmyr Gibbs, 7.8 yards rushing. David Montgomery, 5.2. David Montgomery, we know this guy. This is Mr. 4.1, 4 yards a carry, and he's getting 5.2 on us. Awful. Awful. Absolutely awful. And then too, the receiving. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 115 yards. Just he was the primary weapon. Jameson Williams, 108 on 2 catches. But I think that the story of this is just how badly the Detroit Lions wanted it and how the Bears, not so much. And I think that's the biggest story of the game, is that the offense, you could tell their offense wanted to dominate, and quite frankly, they did. And just, it's more of the same. We had 8 total penalties that we had this game. Not good. 1 fumble that DeAndre Swift fumble, gives it back. Now, 1 interception from Caleb Williams. I don't completely fault him for that, trying to get it away, other things like that, right? It wasn't a true in the pocket, whipping it, just kind of, he thought that he knew where he was going to go, lobbed it. I don't fully blame him for that. But that's the reason why I think we are just angry. The offense just absolutely steamrolled us, absolutely destroyed us. And that's why we're, as Bears fans, frustrated and ticked off and annoyed, because I think we all saw that graphic at the very beginning of the game where they're talking about no team, in the past 20 years, was it, has gone 0-2 in the division and then gotten to the playoffs. And that is, I think, what is so frustrating for us. So yeah, let's see what y'all are saying out here. Let's see. Let's see what we got out here. We got JC, another wasted season. Whole team is trash. Yeah. And yeah, lots of people frustrated that we have out there. Let me see what else. And Broski, I 100% agree. Broski said, Brad, with all due respect, I think you should change your intro. Polls saying we'll take the North and never get it back ain't happening. Yeah. And that was exactly what I thought, because I saw people keep posting like we're going to take the North and never give it back as like the joke. It's like, I hear that every time. Everyone that listens to the show, we hear that as soon as we put on this show. It's such a great soundbite, but not true at all. And I go back to like Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith said we're going to beat the Packers. We're going to take the division. And he did that. He did exactly that. Or what it was, we're going to beat the Packers. He did that year one. Next year, he said we're going to win the division. And he did that. And then the next year, I think he said like Super Bowl or something. He did everything that he said. And right now, I think the reason why it also feels so bad for us was because, right, and we haven't really talked about the injuries. I'm not going to show all the specific injuries and stuff like that. But when you have technically 3 second-round picks and none of them made an impact, 2 of them were healthy scratches today, Ozzie Trapillo and Shamar Turner. Now, Shamar Turner, we knew because of the injury. Ozzie Trapillo, you have that. And someone posted this stat out there where I think it was, this specific one was 12, or there's 13 offensive linemen drafted in rounds 1 and 2. 12 of them were starting. I'll let you guess who number 13 is, Ozzie Trapillo. And Ozzie, yet again, offensive tackles, it takes like a year or so for them to get up to speed with things. But ever since they drafted him, that was one of the picks that I mentioned. He's a swing tackle. He's Dan Skipper, right? And unfortunately, that's turning out to be true. I think the other reason why we're frustrated as well is our top 10 pick, Colston Loveland. He has, 2 catches? I think it was 2 catches for 12 yards total in the past 2 games. Tyler Warren, who I know a lot of us, like myself, wanted the Bears to get instead, he's got 2 consecutive games of over 70 yards. So I think that's why we have this sour taste in our mouth as we're going into this. And yeah, and that's why I see Grosses in the chat. I see, yeah, not good stuff. Yeah, Shy Drax saying first Lions series, 5 plays to a touchdown. And it just, yeah. And I think exactly what Taco Man said. I think the biggest thing is that they made it look easy. Your eyes, it tell the story. When they were going against the Vikings, they looked to be the better team. The Vikings did not look good, but the Bears just made mistakes, and that caused them to lose the game, right? That is Matt Eberflus. That is Flusian plays, right? This was the Bears. The Lions were the better team, and they just came out and drubbed us and just absolutely destroyed us out there. And yeah, it's not good. It's not feeling good. Ron's saying breaking news. We're on clock with the first overall pick. Just watch. We're going to get Archie Manning, and I'm going to be double disappointed because a Texas Longhorn, right? My buddy was joking. He's like, how does it feel? Because for those that don't know, I like the Texas Longhorns, and Archie Manning, who is supposed to be the guy, does not look good. It does not look good at all. And then he's like, yeah, on Saturdays you're disappointed, on Sundays you're disappointed, and then you got work all week, right? And it's like, yep, it's a tough life, right? It's a tough life out there for us Bears fans. So get your paper bags ready. Braxton sucks as the true pilgrim. Yeah, so let's go into this, right? Because like I said, it's brutal. And then let's just kind of wrap up the injury impact. Jalen Johnson goes down. It seems like he re-aggravated the exact same injury. So we're going to see how long is he actually out, which really sucks because Tyreek Stevenson, I got a fun stat for you, everybody. Get your paper bags off of your heads so that you could puke into them. Tyreek Stevenson, 5 for 5 when targeted. Now I won't defend Tyreek today, but last week he at least looked halfway decent, and he was the only corner that was out there, and he played well. This goes back to it. This is the thing with Tyreek Stevenson. You see him one week, and he looks good, and he gives you good plays. And then other weeks, he gives you illegal hands to the face when we finally got a sack. And then after that sack, they end up scoring a touchdown because of the penalty gives them a first step, or it washed away anything that happened because it was an offsetting penalty. And that's the problem, right? That's the problem with Tyreek is you got those ups, you got those downs. Today was definitely one of those downs. So yeah, now Jalen Johnson, and we got that Jalen Johnson down. I'm not an injury expert. My guess is that he probably won't be out there when he has to go against the Dallas Cowboys. So that would be huge. But also too, then as we kind of flip over, I think that was really kind of the only key one out there. But as we kind of move forward, let's talk about this offense. Because something that I'll tell you about this offense, and let's flip on over to the actual offensive stats. So let's go through it. Caleb Williams, 19 of 30, 207 yards, sacked 4 times, 2 touchdowns, and yet again, interception, quote unquote, when he kind of threw it deep, 44 QBR and a 91.9 passer rating. Then on the ground, they averaged 5 yards a carry. Bravo, right? DeAndre Swift, 5.3 yards a carry. Very, very good. We said this before when I was doing the preview. This is a defense that stopped Aaron Jones and the Packers. Now with this, DeAndre Swift was able to get some yards, and then also Kyle Monungai getting 7 carries. You better believe I'm happy about that. 28 yards. Now I'm also here to tell you this, right? How do we think about, what do we feel about Kyle Monungai? Because the thing that you can see the difference mainly on this, right? Like I said, Monungai, he runs what the play is. But the reason why they put Swift out there is Swift also has that higher upside because he can break these larger gains and other things like that. And he broke out a couple big plays, and that's where it's kind of like Tyreek Stevenson. There's the ebbs and flows. Swift will have bad vision and won't select the right hole and different things like that. While Kyle Monungai, very consistent, but yet again, not necessarily super, super, super dominant. That's where I think what we saw, I just want to see a committee, a backfield by committee. I just want to see other people back there just to kind of switch it up. Other people do that. And that's why I just want to see it more. And that's all I'm asking for right now is just more of a backfield by committee. Because right now, Monungai had 7 carries, and a lot of that was just kind of in garbage time to just kind of run things out. Yeah, and I see what J2K, I agree. Swift was running the ball well. You started to see some bust, he's busting out because, he actually had a hole and he's like, hey, I can go through that. Goes through and then, does well. And that's the thing is when we saw it in Philly and also with Detroit, when he has really good blocking, that's when his style is he can get more yards. But at the same time, he needs perfect blocking, which we know the Bears are not going to provide him that. So yeah, and still the running game the run blocking still seemed to be a work in progress. So if anything, I thought that DeAndre Swift played better than what you would expect. So yeah, not great. But then also too, when we look at the receivers, let me just kind of flip over to this and hide that. So when we look at the receiving yards, we got Roma Dunze, 7 catches, 128 yards on 11 targets, and 2 touchdowns. DJ Moore, 5 catches, 46 yards. Cole Kmet, 2 catches for 29 yards. Olamide Zaccheaus, 2 catches, 12 yards. And DeAndre Swift, 3 catches for 6 yards. Monungai, 1 catch for 8 yards. And Luther Burden, 1 catch for 5 yards. Let me pause you guys right here. If I told you that your 7th round running back would have more receiving yards than your top 10 pick at tight end and your 2nd round pick at wide receiver, you'd call me crazy. But that's the reality we're living in right now. And that's the thing, we've talked about with Luther Burden. This guy, he seems like he wants to play, and he seems like he's the spark plug that's ready to go. And I want to see him get the ball more. I want to see him out there more. I really, really do. Now, there was the one pass that went out to him, little low from Caleb, not a perfect throw. But I'll say this, right? On first glance, I don't think right? And yet again, I have not watched the All 22 right now. And I've said this before. I always get nervous about talking about specific players on first glance, right? Because I'm sitting back, talking to family and friends. We're watching the game, right? I don't think that you could blame, so to speak, Caleb with some of this stuff, right? We still have to watch the tape, still have to see what's out there and everything like that. But do I think that he was bad? No. Do I think he was great? No. Do I think he was just like, okay? Yeah. And I think that's why you want him to be better, though. You drafted him with the first overall pick. You want him to be better. And there's a lot of room for improvement. But also, the offensive line. We allowed 12 pressures. Over a third of the time, this guy is getting pressured. 2 of those pressures were unblocked. Also, too, Caleb, his still accuracy a little off, minus 3.1% below pass completion over expected. So another -1. So not a big fan of what he was doing. But let's see what y'all are saying out there in the comments. Bears fans for life, what is good? Hope you're doing well, my friend. We got Broski out there saying that ball that hit Rome in the chest. My goodness. That's the thing, too. Rome had a good game, right? And chances are he's going to be the most valuable Bear because no one else really did too much. But I think that Rome, there's just like a couple of those concentration plays where it's that, like, right afterwards, I'm watching the New York Giants and you're seeing, Malik Neighbors. And that is a killer. That is a number 1 wide receiver. That is someone who you're giving it to because he's taking control. Rome doesn't seem like he's necessarily doing that. He's just more so like, if you can give me the ball, I'll catch it, right? He's not like an alpha, it seems out there. Still had a very, very good game, right? But there's that like alpha mentality, that dog, the Mamba mentality like Kobe has. We haven't seen that yet, right? He can still develop into that, still like look great. But yeah, Joe's saying 3 crucial drops, 100%. And then 2, one of them for sure was like the guy made a perfect swipe. But yeah, then there's other things out there. But let's see what else that we have there. Yeah, Revan, I totally agree. Yeah, they got rid of Swift for Detroit and Philly got rid of him for a reason. And Strax saying, I remember when the Lions were this bad. Here's the thing. Right before this, I went upstairs, tucked my kids in and everything, and I'm talking to my son, and he's got pictures of Bears jerseys. He's got Butkus. He's got, Urlacher. He's got Sayers. He's got Peyton, right? He's got that all on his wall. And he asked me, he's like, Dad, who are they? What are their names? I was like, I'll do you one better, buddy. And I showed him highlights of each one of the players. And then at the very end, I showed him Devin Hester. And, my son was asking me, he's like, so did you get to see this guy when he played? And I grew up with Urlacher. I grew up with Hester. And then I'm looking at the scores of these games, and they're all pretty close. Or the Bears are dominating. I miss that. And at the end of the day, like, when I talked to my son in, he's like, Dad, I like Hester. He's like, I really wish that we have like Hester. And it's like, yeah. And it made me just like a little frustrated, a little bit like, I miss when we were good. I miss when the games were close and it felt like we had a chance. And, it was stuff like that, right? I miss that. And it's like, it's unfortunate because like, who are you rooting for with this team? Right? Who are the kids supposed to like grow up and like want to be like, right? Because right now, Caleb's not showing that. Rome's, like I said before, Rome's good, but not dominant, right? It's just, I want to be dominant again. Dang it. I want that. So is that so much to ask? That's what I want. But yeah, just crazy. Just absolutely crazy. But let's see what y'all are saying. JTK saying Rome is Marty Booker. Wow. That is bold. That is bold. And Don Burr has entered the chat. No, Don Burr, you can't. Okay, now you're talking crazy, man. You're saying Ben Johnson made Detroit's interior. Yeah. So lots of craziness. And I see too, why not try Ozzie at left tackle? He's a right tackle. I think like the big thing that the Bears kind of realize is that, he's a right tackle with a lot of this stuff. Also, Luther saying Bears are cursed. Amen. Amen, brother. Like, Bears are in fact cursed. But yeah, let's see. So yeah, but at the end of the day, like you said, Taco Man, a dub is a dub, right? We lost. Now we can move on and go to the next week. But we have to talk a little bit about this defense. So the defense review, let's talk about this, because if we flip on over to the defense, let me just kind of shift this on over. Jaquan Brisker leading the team with 9 tackles. It's never good when your safety leads the team in tackles, but like we said before, the defense got absolutely torched. And I think that's, if you want to point fingers at what happened last week, it was the mishaps, the mental errors, and some inaccuracies from Caleb. How can't you point it at the defense? They allowed 52 points. It was awful. They played bad, and they let up big play after big play. And like I said, only 5 pressures. Not good. On the bright side, Noah Sewell on his initial PFF grade is 86.2. Noah Sewell still very good as a run defender, very good attacking the football. Coverage-wise, not so great. But then also Andrew Billings was the second highest with 76.3, just for what it's worth. But here's the big thing, right? We talk about the pressures. We know that the Lions' left tackle and right tackle are good. But the interior of that line, like I said before, that is where you can attack. Now, pressure to Grady Jarrett, 11.8% pass rush win rate, pretty good. Yet again, this is all first glance from the PFF data. Then Montez Sweat, 5.3% pass rush win rate, not good. Dayo Odeyingbo, Javon Dexter, both at a whopping 4.5. And then your rest of the guys, Dom Robb, Chris Williams, Big Bill, all at 0%. What does that mean? It means no one's winning. No one is getting off the offensive line. No one is putting pressure on the quarterback. And when you have that, then Jared Goff has all day. And if you remember back in Jared Goff's Rams days, when he had pressure in his face, that's when he messed up. It felt like we weren't blitzing, and it felt, because I know last week we didn't blitz, but we were able to get some good pressure because they had a backup left tackle in. And now I will say, Dayo wasn't as bad, right? Because I was curious how Dayo would look. Now, not saying that he's great and that he's worth the money, but I thought that he at least played better than at least what I was expecting. Yet again, not great, but he at least got a little bit of pressure. I expect that out of a backup, but not necessarily a starter that you're paying 16 plus million to. Yet again, still a good offensive line, but the interior, you could have still liked to see more. And I think too, like Javon, I don't think Javon had a great day at all. And Javon Dexter, yet again, still have to watch the tape, but that's just where this line, you're starting to see the struggles from it. So when he has time, they can have these big plays going out there. And when you look at it too, when your corners, Tyreek Stevenson, 5 for 5 when targeted, Nick McLeod, 4 for 4 when targeted, that's not good, right? And that's where Jalen Johnson, 2 of 4 when he was targeted, that's the difference. And that's where they just absolutely ate our lunch. They just dominated us. And then you're talking too about like, there's just random weirdness, right? You have I always want to say Equanimous St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown on that touchdown. They have Dayo Odeyingbo out there with him. And then another time there was TJ Edwards was out there on him. And yeah, they're playing zone, but this is where if you don't get pressure, then their routes can develop and they can see the stuff that they want. So they go, okay, now we have TJ Edwards on our best player. Let's throw it to him. So that's where it's frustrating. But man, it was bad. It was bad from this defensive side. But one bright side, I guess you could say, Tremaine Edmonds, 5 defensive stops, or 5 run stops, according to PFF. Not bad. Not bad, you could say. I will say that he looks better. Yet again, watching this with friends and family, we were kind of talking about it, and my dad made the comment. He's like, Tremaine Edmonds every year would just stand in the middle and do nothing. It's like, you know what? That's actually very true. Like, he would just stand there, not really do much, but he at least looks like he's doing something. And is he still worth the $18 million investment? Right? That's to be determined. The first 2 years, not so much. But with Tremaine, he's at least at least seems that Dennis Allen is at least doing something with him. That is a very small silver lining in a haystack of crap, right? Like it's the defense was awful. And we talked about it with the running game, allowing over 5 yards of carry and then allowing for just Jared Goff to just absolutely destroy you. So not good stuff right there. So let's get into the special teams review. Normally I would always special teams review, get pumped up. But with the special teams review, what I'll just say about this is it's not pretty, right? The special teams was not pretty yet again. Devin Duvernay on punt returns, 8 yards to carry. But man, Luther Burden is freaking good at returning kicks. And good, he's a good player. On his returns, he averaged 29.5 yards a kick return, and his longest being 36. So what you need to know about that is just good, consistent kick returns out of him. Cairo Santos, he was 3 for 3 with the extra points, did not have to kick a field goal. And then also from punting, Torrey Taylor. Now, he had a long of a 62, but still doesn't feel great, right? He had the one good punt in garbage time, and then everything else just felt off, just didn't feel good. So to me, it's just a little frustrating. It just feels like the special teams is off a little bit, but yeah, it's not great. It's not great, ladies and gentlemen. Not great. And yeah, Revan saying, glad we spent a second on kick returner. So, and Taco Man 2, why isn't Loveland playing? Actually, I'm going to pull up his snaps just to see what he actually played. I'll do that live because this is one of the bad parts about like having a show by yourself. Because I'm like, you know what? I really want to know how many snaps he actually has. And normally it's like when PayPal and I did it, I was like, oh, I can do that right now. I'll have PayPal start talking. We'll kind of switch it over that way. But here, I'll pull up the snaps real quick so we can at least get those snaps. But yeah, so while that is happening, I'm actually going to just flip this over so we can at least get this. So as I pull up the snap counts, I'm curious. Let me know, chat. Who's your MVP? I think this might be very, very easy. Who's your most valuable Bear of the game? This might be a clean sweep for it. So let me see. Where is this? As I try to find this. But also, I think as we're kind of like, oh, here we go. Now I found it. So if we're looking at overall snap counts, there were 68 total snaps. Joe Tooney played 65. Maybe just benching him at the very, very end. Cole Kmet played 61. DJ Moore played 60. Braxton played 57. Let's see. And then where is it? Colson Loveland, 36. So he had more than Olamide Zaccheaus, more than Kyle Monungai. So he had a decent amount. Like a decent amount respectfully, right? They had more so they had more 2 tight end sets than 3 wide receiver sets. So he's out there. And I think the thing that just frustrates me is we know he can get open. And I think it's just like you have so many mouths to feed and they're not getting fed. I think that's the frustrating part is like we do have a lot of good players. Like that's the frustrating part. But yeah, so let's see. Most valuable Bear. We got the water boy. J2K saying Caleb. Talk Man saying JJ. I mean, yeah, Jalen Johnson did play the best. But yeah, I think overall it's to me it's Rome Odunze. Nothing else I could really kind of blame. I think it's just or no one else I could kind of like point the finger at. I think ultimately it's just going to be Rome Odunze. Melton Smasher saying Michael Williams and Jack Sawyer had great games today, but no needed Loveland and Turner over them in the draft. Pass on 2 elite pass rushers, passed on Jared First last season also. That's correct. And also, too, passed on Carter. And that's always the thing that I think a lot of us point back to with like Jalen Carter being so good. I actually had a couple other things too. Where is it? We could talk about this at a different time though, because I was like just curious. I was just curious, like literally if the Bears drafted best player available, like what would happen? Like what would have that draft been? So I was like, I just wanted to have that out there. And so if they went best player available and you literally just didn't think of anything else and you just took consensus big board, whoever was at the top, right? You're not using any data about positional value or anything like that, right? Very basic. It would have gone Tyler Warren at 10, who's been a phenomenal tight end. Will Johnson, who, as far as I know, has been a phenomenal cornerback. Mike Green, I think he struggled the first week, but preseason was an absolute beast. Then 62, this is where you could kind of like be up in the air, where Shavon Revel is technically that, otherwise Xavier Watts, or you can assume Luther Burden might not be available at that pick. But then, yeah, it's just like after that, Marcus Mbow, Cameron Williams, the offensive tackle for Texas, Damian Martinez, and then Tez Johnson. So that would have been the draft. And Tez Johnson, like, was looking pretty darn good. But man, it's just frustrating. It's just very, very frustrating when you see a lot of the stuff that's kind of happened. But hey, now we're going on to next week. Right, we're turning the page. We're going to Dallas, and we're going against the revenge tour for Matt Eberflus. So hopefully they're not rallying around Flus, and hopefully the Bears are rallying against Flus, and we can have a common enemy this week and truly just do something. Because it wasn't pretty. It just overall was not pretty, and there's just more tape with this defense of how to fix this. But at the same time, if you want to look yet again, the silver lining in a haystack of crap, you at least had a highly motivated Detroit Lions team. A loss still counts as a loss. Now, please, for the love of God, turn things around. And at least we'll have an early bye week to hopefully try and make things better. But man, not good. But ladies and gentlemen, I still don't know what I'm going to do with the All-22. I need to do some research and other things like that to figure it out. So don't wait on me for Monday, just because I got to figure some things out. I'll try to post when I can do that out on YouTube when I can. So make sure to hit the notification bell on YouTube so that you can know what is going to actually happen with everything. Hit subscribe, hit the like button. It helps out the show tremendously. And also download the podcast so you can listen to it at work. You can listen to it mowing the lawn, whatever you want to do. That's better than watching Bears football. But hey, take care. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a